Hello, and we're back to back garden bushcraft again, and this is another video on knife skills and making something from a piece of wood. So today we're going to make a wooden toggle from, again, a piece of holly stick. Toggles are a multi-use piece of kit. You can use it for rapid deployment of your ridgeline for your tarp. You can use it to tie things to, and we are going to use them in a later video to make a pack frame. So it's going to be a little bit of a project we're going to make a little bit later on. So we need to create some toggles for this. The toggle itself is going to be somewhere between 6 and 10 centimeters long. But to make life easier and also to make it safer when you're cutting initially, we're going to start with a longer piece of wood. Because there are no heavy duty cuts involved with this, we're going to do this using the pocket knife. So, to safely open the knife blade, keep your fingers well away from the cutting edge, grip onto the nail slot there, open, and it's now safely open. What we're going to do is we're going to cut a notch all the way around the stick, around the center line. So come into this, you're cutting a 45-degree angled cut using your thumb to reinforce it and all of your fingers well out of the way. So it's a short cut like that. You then move around very slightly, and we're going to go around all the way around, just taking tiny little cuts. And once I've done this, you'll be able to see what I'm doing because the bark will make it easier to see. So you don't race to do this, just go around, make a little cut all the way around, and you meet up back where you started. What we then do is we turn the stick around the other way, and we're going to repeat those 45-degree cuts going in the opposite direction. This then allows a small wedge of wood to fall out. And what we're doing there, as we go around, we just clear away any remaining pieces, and we're just going back around a second time just to make the notch a little bit deeper. And then I'm going to reverse the stick, and we go back round in the opposite direction again, just gradually taking out very small pieces until we clear it all the way down. We end up with a nice clean notch. So there we go. So we have a nice notch there. A little bit more work will clean that out properly. And that notch is absolutely fine if you're going to use a thin piece of cord. If you want to use something a little bit thicker, what we're going to do is we're going to make a slightly larger notch in there. So something like paracord will not grip into that very well. We just need to create a bit more space for it. So we go back again, take a mark about a centimetre down, and this time we will just go around again, repeating that first set of 45-degree cuts which just mark where we want to go. This is marking your first line in. So now we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to then carefully, and without going all the way through to the other side, remove a section of wood from the middle. Okay, this is where you want a nice sharp knife for doing this. And the reason I've left the bark on this to start with is it gives you a lot more contrast against the bare wood, so you can see the cuts I'm making. So we trim those down carefully. Once you get almost where you want to be, just smaller cuts. Now turn it round, and then we're just going to trim off these loose bits to start with. And that gives us a nice clean end at this end. And now we're going to work our way back just to trim up the other side. This may require me to make a second set of cuts down as we go, because these are not clearing away properly. There we go, and you go. Nice gentle cuts, not have to force the knife too hard. These knives are really sharp, so you don't need a lot of pressure to get them to cut, and I tend to maintain the edges on my blades after every use, just to give them a quick sharpen, just using a leather strop, and that's normally enough to make sure that that is sharp enough for the next use. So there we go, we're just going around again, just taking out the last little bits, just to create a nice clean finish. I just moved up towards the point of the blade a little bit more, just to give me a better angle to get in there. All just about working this around carefully now. And there we go, so we have a nice neat notch in there. So this is a little bit too long to be of practical use, so the next thing to do is to cut it to the length we require. So to do that, before we do that, I'm going to put my knife safely away. So we're going to fold it, fingers well out the way. That's closed. I can go safely back in my pocket, and I'm going to now move around to use the saw to cut the ends shorter. So now we're going to saw the ends shorter on this to make sure it's going to be a better toggle and easier to carry. Place it securely onto a firm surface. We'll take a folding saw, which we're going to open, pressing the button down on there until the blade locks back. And then we're going to take a point somewhere there, and we're just going to make a nice clean cut through. So that's one side cut. We then turn it round and pick a point similar distance to the other side. This is where you need to be a little bit more careful because you've got a lot less stick to hold on to. You don't need to force the saw. The saws are very sharp. They're designed for cutting green wood. So we're just going to cut through really gently until it drops through. So then what we'll do is just going to tap the sawdust out of the blade of the saw because otherwise it causes it to rust. And then we're going to close the blade away safely before we do anything else. So again, press the button down. Same as the folding knife. Fingers away from the slot, flatter hand on the back of the blade and just bring it round until it locks in place. You release the button, the blade can't open. Okay, so now we have the toggle cut to length. All we need to do now is to finish it all off nice and neatly. So back with the knife, what we do is we can strip the bark away because this will give it chance to dry out evenly and that will allow it to keep better without it rotting, especially if we're going to be using this many times. So we just peel the bark off. It comes down to the white wood underneath. You can make as quick or as neat a job as you like. I'm normally quite happy as long as I've got most of it off. It's a little bit trickier once you get down to the bottom edge. I'm just going to do at the moment one side of this just to get a bit of a finish on there for you. And we'll tidy that one up later once we're happy with it there. Okay, so now we're taking that off. What we want to do is to smooth off the edges. You don't want nice, you want hard, sharp, splintery edges on there. If you're going to keep this in your pack, you want some nice smooth edges, just so you don't rip anything that's in there. So similar to the tent peg that we did previously, we're just going to take the knife, go around, trimming the corners off, making sure that all fingers are safely out the way. And this also tidies up any rough splintered bits from the saw cuts and just makes it a nice, neat, professional looking toggle that you don't mind other scouts and campers seeing. And hopefully when you're using this to suspend your hammocks when you're camping, you will get other people admiring how well you've managed to set your hammock up. So that is how you would complete your toggle. You just carry on to finish off the other side. And that is toggle making on Back Garden Bushcraft.